other thing I wanted to tell you about was the fact that I managed to clear Zekvir on hard mode 3 times yesterday on 3 different classes. So I've now cleared it 4 times, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my strat, my suggestions, and all of that. Just in case anybody's trying to get it at the last second, like last minute tips and stuff for Zekvir hard mode. Let me pull this. Look at my stats here. Because this big achievement for Zekvir hard mode goes away on March 4th, and if you're able to do it, you will get... Oh, why didn't it save my... Oh my god. I think I did this late last night and I didn't even go get my, void appearance. For the dirigible. There we go. So if you manage to clear, Zekvir on hard mode right now, you will get the mount. This is for the Let Me Solo Him achievement. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I think I've learned a lot over the past several days. And I thought it might be helpful if I can, because at first I thought I might make a video about it, but I think it's better just to go over it on stream because there's such a small amount of time that you have left to defeat Zekvir hard mode for the rewards and stuff. Yeah. So the Zekvir item level, from what I heard, is 615 to 620, but I was under that for all of the characters that I've cleared it on so far. To unlock Zekvir hard mode, you need to clear a tier 10 delve, and you need to have extra lives remaining for that at whenever you clear the tier 10. You can solo this the whole way, and I kind of recommend that you do solo, you know, 8, 9, 10 if you can, because you need to be able to solo the tier 10 delve if you're gonna attempt Zekvir hard mode. Like if you're having a hard time soloing tier 10 delve, you're probably gonna have a hard time with Zekvir, even though in a delve situation you're gonna have more of an AoE combat, but with Zekvir I focused completely on single target. So I soloed the unlock. For Bran, his level, I had him at level 45 on EU, and I had him at level 39 on NA. Because I have 2 accounts, so I had to do this at least twice. For Bran's relics, I've used Light Touched Beacon whenever I cleared it on Paladin, so that it could trigger the heal on demand. I could do that on demand. And then for the other clears, I used Idol of the Earth Mother, and for his second one, I used Amorphous Relic for all the clears, which is really solid. Whether it makes you big or small, both ways I've cleared on, and both can help you out a lot in the fight. I will say though that if you're using Amorphous Relic and it makes you small, it can screw with your mind a bit, because you might get used to being the speed boost you get from being small. And then if you pull another time and it makes you big, and you don't have that speed buff anymore, you might misjudge how far you have to run because you've got used to a different type of movement speed than what you might normally have access to. So that caused me a little bit of problem in Prague, but it's just something you have to learn to be aware of when you're big. That you're big, you're going to be a little slower than if you were small. In terms of add-ons that I would use going in to the encounter, there's several add-ons that I think I would not attempt without these add-ons. DBM is obvious. Deadly Boss Mods is obvious one. There's a few weak auras, so you need weak aura. And I recommend... I'm actually going to put these links in the chat. By the way, for DBM, you want the VEM voice pack so that it's not screaming, "Run away, little girl," at you. For DBM, I use this raid ability timeline weak aura right here. I've also used this weak aura for, which is enfeebling spittle. Actually, let me show you it. Enfeebling spittle weak aura. It's basically just makes a noise anytime he's casting enfeebling spittle. So pretty handy for getting ready to cleanse that off of yourself. That's the enfeebling spittle. And then the last weak aura that I've used was Brand's medicine tracker. I didn't use this at all for my paladin clears, so it's not required, but I found that it really helped me a lot. So basically what this does is when Bran is a healer, which you need him as a healer in the fight, he's going to drop potions on the ground. And they last for a while, but they disappear. So this red line, when it runs out, it just shows you how much time is left before the potions on the ground disappear, which is pretty useful. So you make sure you always use them before they go away. And then they also give you a stacking buff, stacking heal. And this shows you like the stacks. And so you can, you want to try to stagger picking up the potions, ideally. And this will help you do that. Visualize that. So let me give you the link to this one, too. That's the Brand Medicine Tracker. Also, I would recommend using the Details add-on so that you can keep track of what killed you. Yeah, so if, when you die, you can see, was it a melee hit or what is it that got me? Because I've heard people say that he will hit you differently depending on your hold on one sec. Okay, well, I can't find it. I've heard people say he might hit you differently depending on your armor class, but I found that I was being hit just as hard on Shaman as I was on Paladin. So he was critting me for 3.5 million on both of those classes, so I don't actually think it has anything to do with the armor class. But Details add-on will show you your damage, but importantly, it will give you a recap button to press when you die, so you can see what killed me. Am I getting meleeed? Which, if you're dying from getting meleeed, it means that you're not using potions effectively, really, or you're not using your own healing tools effectively. And I talked about Brand's relics. The other thing I would say, before the fight starts, you can respec and then spec back to this your main spec so that you lower your mana. Or you can just spam a high mana cost spell that will force Bran to put down the campfire that's going to track your food buff for extra stats. I actually have a video here of my clear yesterday on Shaman that I might pull up so that I can like show you what I'm talking about. So you're just staring at myself on the dirigible. It was definitely a challenge on Shaman. Okay, let me see if I can pull up just this window. Okay. Yes, I can. Let me mute the audio for a sec. So you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So, did I have audio for this? No, I guess I didn't. All right, well, heck. Okay. So on the left here, you can see the Brand Medicine Tracker that's right above my camera. The fight starts and he really will beat the crap out of you with his swings. Like, the beginning of the fight is a good time to see, like, practice staggering these potions a little bit, though I actually didn't do that. I grabbed them all at once. I don't even know why. I used Bloodlust at the start of the fight, but if I had drums like I had to use for Paladin, I would wait to use drums until the start of phase 2, because if I made it to phase 2, it means it's probably not a meme run, and drums are expensive, so I couldn't just willy-nilly use drums at the start of every single pull. Obviously, I'm not made of money. Yeah. Now, the other handy thing about this add-on, I mean, the weak aura on the left with Brand's potions, is it shows you when the potions are gone and when he's getting ready to put more. So, right, this like clock shows you the cooldown between when he could put more on the ground. So when that fills up, he could put more. And so you can see that he just did. And he doesn't always. Sometimes there's a delay between him finishing putting the potions and putting new potions. And that's when I would save a defensive like stone bulwark totem for a time when there's no potions. I don't see any. And we need something to survive until the next set of potions come out. You definitely need a macro for targeting the egg. You need that. That is required. So just go make a macro that says /tar egg cocoon. That's simple. You can see it on my bar on control 8 that you absolutely need it. It is required. And you need to switch to it as soon as possible and destroy it, obviously. That's really the fight. This is the only thing you need to be using DPS cooldowns on, is swap into the egg and killing the egg. Like, always the egg. It's not bad, too, to have a plan B, and just in case the worst thing happens and the egg actually hatches. Because this can happen. It's horrible. Like, this is the worst thing that could happen, but it can happen. And if it does, I would use stun on the paladin. I'd use lightning lasso on shaman. If I'm really panicking, like in phase 2, I could use an earth elemental just to tank the thing. But something to save your butt if it hatches. But really, if it is hatching, you have bigger problems. It should not hatch. But plan B in the absolute worst case scenario is a good thing to have in mind. I would say that overall, your most dangerous moment in this fight is going to be when you need to fight the egg, but he's hitting you at the same time, right? He's going to be meleeing you while you're trying to fight the egg. So, you need to, before you go to deal with the egg, you need to know where your potions are on the ground. You need to be at full health. And you need to be able to easily grab a potion, maybe use a defensive for that. Protect yourself while you're going to fight the egg. Because I found it's very easy to just tunnel on the egg and only DPS it and like not pay attention to what's going on. And die that way because he's just hitting you really, really hard. Obviously, it's extremely important to interrupt Brand's Zekvir's heal. This is the only thing you should ever be using your interrupt on. But if you are faced with a choice of whether to die or let Zekvir heal, then I recommend that you let Zekvir heal. Because it should be extremely rare that you're faced with that choice, but obviously survival is more important than anything else. And just use this, even if you have to, like I had to on Paladin, use a speed buff to run to the boss, interrupt him, and then run back to the egg. That might be something that you're forced to do. So that's why movement speed is really king in this fight, especially if you're on melee. I did try to stay close to Zekvir most of the time because of his claw smash. And actually right now on the video, you can see the other weak aura that I'm using. That's like abilities falling down. This is called Raid Ability Timeline. And this is mostly, I found that I was using it for knowing when claw smash is about to occur. This is the main thing that's going to affect your positioning more than anything else, because this is the wide, giant cone attack that will kill you. So knowing when that's up is like when to anticipate that was very, very helpful. If you're really gaming, though, you could try to bait the cone before you go to the egg. I found myself doing that a little bit with Paladin on the Paladin run, but yeah, the big cone is scary. Angler's Web, the narrow cone is kind of not that bad. So yeah, I try to stay close to Zekvir all the time. I try to stay up his ass as much as possible, just because of the claw smash, really. Other thing, obviously enfeebling spittle. Enfeebling spittle is another huge part of this. That's the reason I use that weak aura to like let me know when when he's casting it. Every class in the game has a way to deal with the enfeebling spittle. And you need to find a way for your class to remove it. Now, I found a post on Icy Veins, which apparently was just copied from Reddit, that listed a bunch of the options. But this is not really a great guide. So if you happen to find this, let me just show you so you don't get confused, because it could be a little misleading if you think that this is all of the options available to you, because it really, really isn't. So it has this list here of like options to different classes of how you could remove the spittle, but the problem with this list is that it is not at all comprehensive. Okay. Like, you need to look in your talent tree for things that remove snares. Monks, for example, they have like, you could have 3 or 4 different options. Like, there's a talent for monk that lets roll remove a snare, and so does diffuse magic, will remove a snare. Warrior has blade storm. There's a slayer hero talent that lets you charge and remove the snare, because you probably want to save avatar for the egg damage, right? So this list is just not conclusive. It's not close to listing all of your options, and you really need to investigate your talents yourself. I'll talk about Shaman in a minute, but Shaman is another example of that. Gnomes also, if you happen to be a gnome can remove snares with their racial. So read the tooltips of these abilities that will remove snares, as some of them are made possible with talents that have a cooldown on their effects. Like, for example, if you look here at Thunderous Paws, which is what you need to make Shaman Ghost Wolf remove spittle. I didn't realize this, and I died a lot before I figured it out, that Thunderous Paws, the snare removal effect from the talent, has a cooldown of 20 seconds. So you can't rely on it every time. But that's okay, because Shaman, if you look in your tree, you'll find a lot of other things that you can use to deal with removing snares. But that's why I just wanted to warn you, I guess, about this page if you happen to come across it. Because with Shaman, I guess I'll just say, I had Jetstream, which you spec into to let Windrush Totem remove snares. There was also Spirit Walk, which is another way to remove spittle. It's 3 great movement options that will remove spittle. And if you're even more movement, for Shaman, you could spec into Spirit Walker's Grace and Graceful Spirit, which those won't remove spittle, but it's extra movement for you. So that's just, you got to read your talent tree, man. That's something that I've enjoyed about this fight, is learning about the talent trees, reading it, and figuring out what's best for the specific situation. I'm just going to skip ahead here to phase 2, because I think oh, we're already here. Okay, we're at phase 2. So on phase 2, there's going to be swirlies on the ground to dodge, which will kill you. So just, take them very seriously. There is going to be, yeah, here's the swirlies. Literally just don't stand on them, there's spittle. The other thing is these portals. Okay. So the thing with the portals is you can't be caught between 2 of them. So when you see the portals, you want to not position yourself so you're not between 2, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you're close to Zekvir. So you want to be as close to Zekvir as possible while also not being between 2 portals. So that's why you can see I'm barely out of the portal area, but still up his ass. That is because of Claw Smash. Because if you run too far, you're gonna get got by Claw Smash. The other thing is the sphere. You can see that now in phase 2, the sphere has balls coming out of it. And this is really, really clearly telegraphed. You can see giant balls on the sphere animation, so this is pretty easy to dodge. Just remember it. You just have to remember that. And that's kind of it. That's kind of the fight. There's really not a lot else to say here. You can see this took me a long time on Shaman. I was here for quite a while.
Sheba Mix says, so you have to get to his ass and it has balls coming out of it?
Yes, you have to get to his ass and his balls coming out. Exactly. Exactly, yes. Yeah, that was right. So that's really it. But I think I used Earth Elemental in phase 2 at some point just to deal with a hatched egg because I was panicking a little bit. Ascension is really fantastic for phase 2. You can see I'm popping it right now. And this is amazing because it just turns you into a ranged for a little bit. It does a shit ton of damage, so you can just GG the egg with Ascension up. I also combined it with the thing that heals you when you do damage, so it gave me a little bit of a breather anytime it was up, and I especially saved it for phase 2. I used Healing Totem on cooldown. I don't know if it even helped at all. For the eggs on Shaman, if you're curious, mostly your Spirit Dogs, your Doomy Winds, Primordial Wave, Storm Strike should do it. But I had, like I said, Lightning Lasso in it. Sometimes I'd use it if I was walking to the egg, or just to save it for in case something hatched. But that's it. I did got away with Stormbringer spec here on the Shaman, but I think I got away with it maybe because I had the Trinket Mad Queen's Mandate, which made a bunch of these eggs easier. It does a lot of damage. But of course I couldn't rely on that every time. But if I had problems with the egg DPS, maybe I would have tried Farseer, but I'm more comfortable with Stormbringer. So that's really it. It took me 15 minutes to clear. It was really, really long fight. But, yeah, I just wanted to... That's all. I do wish it could control Bran a little more. Even if it's something like Focus This. I agree. It was kind of partially because of that I didn't go with Porcelain Arrowhead Idol, and I went with Idol of the Earth Mother instead. Because this is an encounter where, like, him randomly letting me crit Zekvir more wasn't gonna help. I needed either more consistent healing or something that would increase my damage to an egg on demand every time. And so that's why I went with Earth Mother. But yeah, that's all. So you have to get to, yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about Zekvir. But so far I've cleared him on, geez, Red Paladin. It took me 90 attempts on Red Paladin to clear, and I cleared him at 599 eye level. With Templar. On Marksman Hunter, it took me 38 attempts to clear, and I cleared him on 613 item level. On Frost Mage, it took me 4 attempts to clear. It was really easy on Mage. It was just so much easier than anything else, in my opinion. And I cleared him at 604 item level. And then my Shaman here is 611 item level, and it took me 46 pulls to clear, though I was memeing for about 10 clears, I think. I mean, 10 attempts. There was about 10 attempts where... like, it took me 11 times of dying to realize that tab wasn't even keybound. It took me... for 2 of the wipes, I think Bran wasn't even set to healer. It took me 5 times to realize I needed a macro to target the egg on Shaman. So I memed a lot, but that's it. If y'all have... I don't know which one to attempt it on next. I'm really in love with the fight because it's just a great, fantastic way for me to learn about different... classes really, really quickly. It's like a boot camp for each class or spec that I'm interested in. So I was kind of wondering which class to attempt it on next. I don't know. Maybe some people were suggesting Dark Knight, sorry, not Dark Knight, Death Knight, or maybe Demon Hunter. Oh man, the stairs are horrible. I really try to avoid the stairs at all costs, but it's not always possible. Stairs are a nightmare because you can easily get caught on the geometry of the stairs, and that's a very sad way to die. But yeah, that's all. My 612 Frostmage should be able to do it. Oh man, Frostmage was so comfy, cozy, and great. I of all of the classes that I've done it on so far, I think Frostmage was by far and away the easiest. I used Frostfire hero talent. You can just nuke the eggs so easily. You have so many movement tools, so much, like, it was so good. It was so nice. So yeah, I think Frostmage would be the way to go if you're comfortable with Frostmage, but a part of it was also me learning how to play the classes a little better. I think with Frostmage, I'm just very comfortable with it because I've played it for years. So maybe that's the real reason why it was easier for me on Frostmage. That's my oldest character that I have access to. Did Spell Steal work on the heal? I didn't even have to worry about that. I just used Interrupt every time on the heal. Yeah. So what do you think next? I don't know. God, this took me so long. I see I did pop the Earth Elemental. And the Earth Elemental will just tank the boss for a bit. But yeah, that's all. We'll skip ahead to the end because this is such a long fight. We don't need to watch the whole damn thing. I think what was really annoying for me with Shaman was it took me a while to realize that Ghost Wolf will not cleanse spittle every time. Because it's on a cooldown, and I didn't realize that right away, and I died so many times, and I'm like rewatching the video thinking, oh, I have spittle and I pressed Ghost Wolf, why spittle still through? And I got really, really mad about that, but it's because I didn't read my talent. So make sure you read your talents. For setting up your talents builds, by the way, what I recommend doing is go check a single target raid build, and then that's on Icy Veins or Wowhead or whatever. If it's a class that you don't know very well, then compare that to a Delves build, and then ask yourself what you need that's single target and what you need for defensives. And so I just kind of tried to make an amalgamation of both of those. Get rid of anything that's for AoE, anything like volley, crash lightning. You don't need anything that's going to hit more than one thing. You need single target shit only. But yeah. That's all. I love the fight, and I'm excited to try another.